back to the channel. We got an interesting article today. It's titled 15 Things Police Can Legally Take From You Without a Warrant. Most people assume police officers always need a warrant to take your stuff, but that's not always true. There are certain situations where law enforcement can legally seize property or possessions without going through a judge first. There are exceptions in the law that give officers more power than you might expect. Here's a list of what they can take and when. First on the list are items in plain view. Objects that are clearly visible to an officer during a legal encounter can be taken without a warrant. Courts have ruled that anything in plain view that is evidence of a crime or illegal to possess can be immediately seized. This rule is often used in traffic stops and routine house calls. If a cop sees drugs or an illegal weapon, they don't have to ask for permission to grab it. Up next is abandoned property. Things that somehow has been thrown away or left behind in public places can be collected by the police without any warrant. Say you leave a phone on a bus bench. If the police suspect is tied to illegal activity, you can take it without needing a judge's approval. The law treats abandoned property as fair game because the original owner no longer has a reasonable expectation of privacy. Up next are items in your pockets during a stop and frisk. Officers are allowed to pat you down for weapons during a lawful stop and frisk and can take anything illegal they feel during that pat down. While they can't dig through your bag or wallet without more cause, anything they detect through touch, that's clearly not allowed, like drugs or concealed weapon, can be seized on the spot. Up next is contraband found during a consent search. If you say yes when an officer asks to search your car, home, or belongings, anything they find that's illegal can be taken immediately. People often don't realize that giving consent means giving up their right to require a warrant in that moment. Once permission is granted, officers are free to collect items without going back to a judge for approval. This includes drugs, stolen goods, or unregistered firearms. Up next is evidence in your vehicle during a traffic stop. Traffic stops can quickly lead to searches if the police have cause to believe there's something illegal in your car. Smelling marijuana, seeing drug paraphernalia, or even noticing nervous behavior can justify a deeper look into the vehicle. When the cop legally searches your car and finds evidence like open alcohol containers, stolen merchandise, or drugs, they can seize it without a warrant. Up next are weapons that are not legally owned. Illegal weapons like an unregistered firearm or banned knife can be taken by the police on site if there's lawful contact. This could happen during a routine stop, while investigating a call, or during an arrest. As long as the officer is legally allowed to be where they are and spots a weapon that breaks the law, they don't need to get a warrant before seizing it. Up next are items found during arrest. Cops are allowed to search someone and the area within their immediate reach during an arrest without getting a warrant. The search is meant to protect officers and prevent destruction of evidence. Courts have long upheld this exception to the warrant rule, calling it part of a search incident to arrest. Up next is evidence discovered during an emergency. In emergencies, like when someone is injured or there's an immediate threat, police can enter spaces and take evidence without a warrant. This includes situations where lives are at risk. There's a fire or violent fight where someone is screaming for help. While inside, if officers spot illegal drugs or weapons in plain sight, they're allowed to take them. Up next is property linked to a crime scene. When the police arrive at the scene of the crime, they can take anything directly tied to what happened. Bloodstained clothes, weapons, tools, or any other physical evidence can be collected to help in the investigation. If the crime just happened and the scene is still fresh, officers don't need to ask for a judge's permission before they start gathering evidence. The urgency of collecting and preserving that material outweighs the need for a warrant in those moments. Up next are items confiscated at a jail or detention center. Once someone is booked into jail or detained, officers are allowed to search them and take any personal items they find. These searches are part of intake procedures and don't require a warrant because they're seen as standard safety precautions. Any contraband found, like drugs, weapons, or even large amounts of cash, can be held as evidence. Up next are illegal goods mailed to your address. A package sent through the mail can be intercepted and inspected by law enforcement, and if it contains contraband, they can seize it. For instance, if a drug-sniffing dog alerts on a package, police can inspect it even without a full warrant. When opened under a suspicion and confirmed to be illegal, the contents can be taken and used as evidence. Up next is digital evidence during border crossings. When crossing into the U.S. at airports or land borders, officers from Customs and Border Protection can search your devices without a warrant. Phones, laptops, USBs, and other electronics can be reviewed for suspicious content. If they find unlawful material like child pornography, pirated files, or documents tied to terrorism, they can seize it right away. Up next are items taken under civil asset forfeiture. Even without charging someone with a crime, police can take property they believe is linked to illegal activity. This is called civil asset forfeiture, and it allows law enforcement to keep money, cars, or other valuables they suspect were gained through or used for a crime. While controversial, it's legal in many states and doesn't require a criminal conviction. Up next is evidence found during a protective sweep. After an arrest inside a home, police can do a quick search of nearby rooms to make sure no one else is hiding or posing a danger. These protective sweeps are brief and limited, but can lead to the discovery of illegal items. Officers can seize contraband like drugs, unregistered weapons, or stolen property during this sweep. And finally, are anything a canine alerts on during a legal stop. Drug-sniffing dogs are often used during legal stops, especially traffic ones, to detect illegal substances. If the dog gives a clear alert and the stop is otherwise legal, that's usually enough reason for a search. Once the dog alerts, police can check the area and take any illegal substances or related items they find. No warrant is needed because courts can view the dog's alert as probable cause. Alright, there you have it, 15 things police can legally take from you without a warrant. So they don't always need that warrant. Pretty interesting stuff here. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to hit that big thumbs up like button. Get this information out to more people and let them know by smashing that big thumbs up like button. And if you really enjoy this sort of content, consider subscribing to the channel. We got fresh content coming to you daily, so there's always something new for you to watch. Thanks for watching this one to the very end. I'm Brian Kingsbury. We'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.